introduce Amy Warren. Amy Warren, Helen of Toastmasters, Helen of Toastmasters, Amy Warren.
Show of hands. Who here submitted a form when they joined Toastmasters, an application form? Who here? Okay. So when you joined, you had to fill out a form. You probably gave it to Noelle, right? You all filled out a form. Now, who here submitted that form under a fake name? Nobody? No one used a fake name? Megan, you didn't submit your form under Jay's Bordeaux? No?
Not this time around.
You guys don't know how much you have it made. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Helen Blanchard is one woman who wasn't able to submit her application using her real name. The year was 1970, and Helen worked for the U.S. Navy in San Diego. Now, her job involved traveling to Navy test sites and training engineers on how to collect and analyze the data. Now, that probably doesn't sound that much to us sitting here in 2015, but in 1970, that was not the kind of work women did. She even had a neighbor, a female neighbor, spit on her one time because that neighbor saw her as taking away a good job from a man. Now, it was while she was working with the Navy that Helen first heard about Toastmasters. It was lunchtime, and she was sitting there perusing the office newsletter. And she saw an ad. And the headline of that ad caught her eye. It proclaimed, "Join Toastmasters and present with confidence." And Helen thought, confidence, that's exactly what I need to do this job. So she called the number on the ad, curious about this mysterious group called Toastmasters that would give her confidence. Now, when she called, do you think that she was given details on the club's next meeting? Do you think that she was warmly told to drop by any time? No. The man on the other end of the line informed Helen that Toastmasters was for men only. Now, Helen went back to look at that ad that had caught her eye, and she realized that she had overlooked a key piece of information. The club's slogan, "For men on the move." Yeah, you heard that right. This organization that we see as so supportive and so inclusive was closed to women as recently as the 1970s. Now, Helen thought, that's it. I guess I'm never joining Toastmasters. But a few weeks after she made that first call, the club president called her and told her that the club had voted to accept her as a member. Hurdle number 1 down. Now, Helen went to her first Toastmasters meeting, the only woman in the room. But she said she felt no animosity and that she felt very welcome. And when Helen saw the Toastmasters program in action, she knew she had to be part of it. Now, she'd already gained the acceptance of the club. The next hurdle would be getting past Toastmasters headquarters. Now, the club recognizing her situation, tried to help her along, and they submitted her application with simply H. Blanchard, believing that would be enough. So Helen delivered her icebreaker speech. She became an active member. Hurdle number 2, down, right? Wrong. Headquarters sent back the application. They insisted on having a first name. Now, when the club president saw this, he turned to Helen and said, "What male name would you like?"
Nice.
And while Helen, she pondered the absurdity of that question, what male name do you want? The club began what will surely go down as the most creative table topics in history. They devoted their table topics that night to deciding on a male name. And the winning table topic came from a man who suggested that Helen should become Homer because, and this is pre-Simpsons, remember, because she likes poetry, she looks kind of Grecian, and well, Homer wrote of Helen of Troy in the Iliad. So Helen Blanchard became Homer Blanchard that night. And the club resubmitted her application under the name Homer Blanchard, and this time it was accepted. Now Helen remained Homer in the eyes of headquarters until November 1971. And it was at that time that word came down from Toastmasters that all clubs operating on U.S. government property had to accept women. Discrimination on the basis of gender would no longer be allowed in U.S. federal clubs. Now, of course, other clubs were still expected to ban women. But even that changed. 2 years later, August 1973, Toastmasters completely changed its policy, and any club that wanted to could amend its bylaws to allow female members. Now, Helen wrote in her memoir, Breaking the Ice, that she had no idea when she delivered her icebreaker speech that she would be breaking the ice for so many female Toastmasters to follow. And she didn't stop there. In 1985, Helen Blanchard became the first woman to serve as international president of Toastmasters. She broke the ice for 4 other women who subsequently served as international president. Now Helen remained an active Toastmaster for the rest of her life. In May 2013, Helen passed away at the age of 86. And I only learned of Helen's story when I read her obituary. But I knew then that one day I would deliver a speech about Helen Blanchard. And on this idyllic evening, I ask all of you to think of Helen Blanchard the next time you do something seemingly insignificant, like sign your name on an application. The things that seem so little to us might not have been so little to those who came before us. Madam Toastmaster.
Nice.